Most luxury cars are built to turn heads. But the vehicles used by presidents and kings? They're built to survive the unthinkable. These machines aren't just cars, they're fortresses on wheels, designed to withstand bombs, bullets, and even nuclear threats. Some are so extravagant they come with crystal-studded roofs or gold-plated interiors, while others are wrapped in armor strong enough to stop rocket fire. And the price tags? They'll make even the world's richest celebrities jealous. Today, we're counting down the 10 most expensive and luxurious presidential cars ever built. And trust me, the number one spot will leave you speechless. When it comes to royal luxury, few names carry the same weight as Rolls-Royce, and the Phantom 8, estimated at nearly $15 million, might just be the crown jewel of the brand, literally. This isn't just a car, it's a symbol of monarchy, wrapped in steel, glass, and sheer extravagance. It serves as the official state car of King Charles I, and every inch of it is designed to remind you that you're not just looking at transportation, you're looking at rolling royalty. From the outside, it appears like the ultimate British limousine, long, elegant lines, a polished black finish that reflects like a mirror, and of course, the iconic spirit of ecstasy rising proudly from the hood. But once you start noticing the details, you realize this car is on another level entirely. Its roof is inlaid with hundreds of Swarovski crystals, arranged in the pattern of royal constellations, a private galaxy glowing above the king's head whenever sunlight catches the glass. Imagine sitting inside and seeing the ceiling glitter like the night sky, knowing those constellations are mapped directly to royal insignia. That's not just luxury, that's symbolism. Then comes one of the Phantom's strangest features, the trunk. While most leaders keep spare tires, tools, or maybe some tactical gear, King Charles's Phantom once carried something no one would expect: a miniature golf course. The turf was real, imported from St Andrews, the birthplace of golf in Scotland. A fold-out setup allowed the monarch to putt a ball at his leisure, even while traveling. It's eccentric, yes, but it's also the kind of personal touch that shows how this vehicle was built specifically around its owner's quirks and tastes. Inside the cabin, the extravagance continues. The car's sound system doesn't just play classical music. It's programmed with recordings of the Westminster Choir, chosen specifically to calm and relax the king during stressful trips. Think about that for a second. While most armored cars are tuned to block out noise, this one is tuned to bring the sound of a centuries-old cathedral choir into the king's private world. But beneath all this elegance lies brutal, military-level engineering. The Phantom 8 is fitted with U-7 level armor plating, one of the highest civilian protection ratings in existence. This isn't light padding. This is a fortress, designed to resist everything from armor-piercing bullets to high-caliber sniper rounds to rocket-propelled grenades. The doors weigh as much as small safes. The windows are so thick they distort sound from the outside world. If you slammed on them with a sledgehammer, the car wouldn't even notice. For the king, every journey in the Phantom is less about convenience and more about survival. And yet, for all its advanced engineering, one incident in 2023 nearly turned this masterpiece into a royal embarrassment. During a casual golf outing in Windsor, Charles teed off a shot that went wrong. The ball flew sideways, smacked into the Phantom's bulletproof glass, and ricocheted straight back into his head. A machine built to deflect bombs had just sent a golf ball boomeranging back at the king himself. After that incident, the golf course in the trunk was quietly removed, replaced by a Scottish whiskey minibar, a far safer way to spend downtime, and perhaps a little more in line with royal tradition. Still, despite the occasional misstep, the Phantom 8 stands as one of the most extravagant and secure presidential cars on Earth. It represents the duality of modern leadership, where image matters just as much as safety. On one hand, it's dripping with excess, crystal stars, cathedral choirs, and even a history of golf-inspired misadventures. On the other hand, it's a rolling fortress, built to withstand attacks that could flatten entire buildings. But as jaw-dropping as this car is, the next presidential vehicle takes things to an even more extreme level. Because while the Rolls-Royce Phantom 8 is about elegance and heritage, the Bugatti La Voiture Noire is about raw speed, futuristic armor, and a story straight out of an action film. If the Rolls-Royce Phantom 8 represents royalty, tradition, and elegance, then the Bugatti La Voiture Noire is the polar opposite, a futuristic predator disguised as a hypercar. Valued at an astronomical $18 million, this vehicle holds the title of the most expensive car ever owned by a head of state. And its story is every bit as wild as its design. The name itself means the black car in French, and it couldn't be more fitting. From a distance, the La Voiture Noire looks like it was carved out of a single block of obsidian, sleek, dark, and almost alien in its appearance. But underneath that glossy carbon fiber exterior hides something far more menacing. Armor plating infused with microscopic diamond particles. That's right, the same stones people wear as jewelry are woven into its invisible armor, not for style, but for survival. When bullets hit, the diamond structure scatters the force like sand in the wind, neutralizing impacts that would pierce through lesser vehicles. The windows are no less impressive. Instead of traditional bulletproof glass, they're made of synthetic sapphire, the same material used for jet fighter cockpits. It's crystal clear, nearly unbreakable, and engineered to handle extreme pressure and high-caliber rounds. Together, the carbon diamond armor and sapphire glass make the La Voiture Noire feel less like a car and more like a moving safe. Of course, this is still a Bugatti, and that means speed, obscene amounts of speed. Its quad-turbocharged W16 engine produces a mind-boggling 6,600 horsepower, propelling the car to 261 miles per hour. Even with all its extra armor, it remains one of the fastest presidential vehicles on Earth. And it's not just about outrunning assassins or surviving shootouts. The La Voiture Noire was specifically designed to function in the harsh desert climate of the Middle East, built to withstand temperatures of up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit without losing performance. While other armored vehicles might overheat, this Bugatti keeps roaring. But this car's legend doesn't come from specs alone. In 2021, during a drone strike in Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed reportedly used the La Voiture Noire to escape danger. Instead of ducking into a bunker, he got behind the wheel, pushed the engine to its limits, and raced away at full throttle. Imagine the scene: a head of state piloting an $8 million hypercar, armored with diamonds, weaving through desert roads while drones exploded behind him. It sounds like the climax of a blockbuster action movie, but for him, it was real life. The Bugatti La Voiture Noire represents the perfect fusion of luxury, performance, and survival. It's not just a car, it's a statement, a symbol that wealth and engineering can merge to create something unmatched in both beauty and power. Yet, while this car is about speed and extravagance, the next presidential vehicle takes a very different approach. It doesn't care about looking flashy, and it doesn't care about being the fastest. Its mission is simple: to be the most reliable shield on four wheels. Not every world leader chooses diamonds and hypercars. Some prefer practical perfection, and few cars embody that philosophy, like the Mercedes-Benz S680 Guard, the official state car of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. At around $650,000, it's one of the least expensive vehicles on this list, but don't let the price tag fool you. What it lacks in over-the-top extravagance, it more than makes up for with precision engineering and sheer resilience. On the outside, the S680 Guard looks almost identical to a standard Mercedes S-Class sedan. That's the beauty of it. Its sleek, understated design doesn't draw unnecessary attention, and that's exactly what you want when you're transporting one of the most powerful figures in Europe. But underneath its elegant frame lies armor so advanced that it has earned the VR-10 protection rating, the highest level of ballistic resistance available for civilian vehicles. What does that mean in practice? It means the car can withstand armor-piercing rounds, sniper fire, and explosive blasts that would rip through almost anything else. Its structure is reinforced with a combination of hardened steel, advanced composites, and special protective polymers. The windows are enormous blocks of bulletproof glass, so thick and heavy that most people couldn't even lift one if it were removed. And yet, from inside the car, they're crystal clear, giving the Chancellor a full view of the world while remaining untouchable from the outside. But Mercedes didn't stop at armor. The S680 Guard comes equipped with its own emergency oxygen supply, sealed inside the vehicle to provide breathable air during chemical or biological attacks. Hidden within its body is a fire suppression system, capable of flooding flames with extinguishing agents in seconds. The tires are specially engineered run flats, designed to keep rolling even if shredded or blown out by an explosion. And the fuel tank is self-sealing, automatically closing itself if punctured, preventing fires or catastrophic detonations. What makes this car remarkable isn't its extravagance, but its balance. It doesn't boast about being plated with gold or lined with sapphires. It doesn't need to. It exists for one reason only: to guarantee that the German Chancellor reaches his destination no matter what threat appears along the way. It is quiet, discreet, and efficient, the embodiment of German engineering. And in a way, that's what makes it so fascinating. The Bugatti flaunts its speed, the Rolls-Royce flaunts its heritage, but the S680 Guard flaunts nothing. It simply does its job better than almost anything else. Still, while Scholz relies on German precision, one of his global rivals has chosen a vehicle that combines Soviet-era toughness with modern luxury, a machine that reflects not just safety, but power, intimidation, and controversy. When it comes to presidential vehicles, Russia has always done things differently. While Western leaders often rely on Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, or Cadillac, Vladimir Putin chose to send a clear message: Russia doesn't just buy luxury, it builds it. The result is the Urus Senat, a limousine worth around $16 million, designed not only to rival the world's most luxurious cars, but also to remind everyone of Russia's tradition of strength and intimidation. At first glance, the Urus Senat looks like a cousin of the Rolls-Royce Phantom or Bentley Mulsanne, with its massive front grille and imposing shape. But once you see it up close, you realize this is no mere imitation. The doors alone weigh over 660 pounds each, so heavy they can only be opened with the help of a hydraulic system. When one of those massive doors swings shut, it's like sealing the hatch on a submarine. The entire car is built around the idea that nothing, and no one, can get inside unless the Kremlin allows it. The armor is formidable. It's engineered to withstand not just bullets, but explosives, anti-tank weapons, and high-powered sniper rounds. To put it simply, this is a car built for war. And it doesn't just sit there like a target, it fights back. Hidden inside is a smokescreen system, capable of releasing dense black clouds to blind attackers or confuse drones trying to lock onto the vehicle. For a president who has faced numerous threats, this isn't a gimmick, it's survival. Inside, the Senate is a mix of opulence and nationalism. The cabin is lined with rare Siberian birchwood, polished with vodka. Yes, vodka for shine, a detail as unusual as it is symbolic. The leather seating is stitched with traditional Russian patterns, and the entertainment system is locked to display only state-controlled Russian television. For Putin, the Senat isn't just a car, it's a statement of independence from Western influence, a rolling piece of propaganda as much as it is a fortress. Yet despite its bold attempt at Russian self-reliance, controversy followed. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, sanctions revealed that nearly 60% of the Senat's components actually came from Germany. From electronics to structural parts, the car that was meant to be a showcase of Russian strength turned out to be deeply tied to the very West it was meant to outshine. For many critics, that made the Senat less a symbol of independence and more a symbol of contradiction. Still, the Urus Senat made its public debut in 2022 during one of Putin's most highly scrutinized appearances, and the message was clear: this car, like its owner, is designed to intimidate. Heavy, armored, luxurious, and controversial, the Senat is more than just transportation. It's a rolling metaphor for the way Russia wants to be seen: untouchable, powerful, and defiant. But not every presidential car carries that same aura of strength. In fact, some have gone down in history for the exact opposite reason, turning their owners into the punchline of jokes. And no vehicle illustrates that better than Jacques Chirac's infamous Peugeot 607. If Putin's Aurus Senat is a symbol of intimidation, then Jacques Chirac's Peugeot 607 is a symbol of humiliation. Valued at a surprising $6 million, this French-built limousine was meant to showcase the best of French engineering. Instead, it ended up being remembered as one of the most unreliable and awkward presidential cars of all time. The idea was simple. France didn't want its president driving around in a German Mercedes or a British Rolls-Royce. They wanted something proudly French, something that would embody elegance and innovation. And at first glance, the Peugeot 607 looked the part. It had sleek lines, a luxury interior, and the backing of national pride. But once it hit the road, the problems began, and they were almost comical. For one, the car was fitted with a hydraulic roof mechanism that took a staggering 47 seconds to open. That might sound like a minor detail, until you realize what it meant in practice. During public ceremonies, Chirac was often left standing in the rain for several minutes, waiting for the roof to finish its sluggish dance. Imagine a head of state, standing awkwardly in front of the world's cameras, soaked by a downpour, because his car simply couldn't open fast enough. Not exactly the symbol of strength France was going for. Then came the convertible disaster. On one occasion in Marseille, the Peugeot's convertible roof jammed halfway open, leaving Chirac literally trapped inside the car in front of a crowd. Security scrambled, staff panicked, and the president sat helplessly as his luxury limousine turned into a rolling embarrassment. Of course, the 607 wasn't without its luxuries. Inside, the car featured a miniature bar stocked with French wines, dating back to 1789, the year of the French Revolution. It also had a perfume dispensing system that alternated between lavender and croissant scents, filling the cabin with stereotypical aromas of France. If nothing else, it proved that French engineers had a sense of humor. But the indignities didn't stop there. In 2006, during a high-profile event, a Mont Blanc fountain pen was stolen from inside the presidential Peugeot. For a vehicle that was supposed to protect the president, it couldn't even protect a pen. The French press had a field day, and the 607 quickly became the butt of jokes across Europe. Despite its luxurious design and national pride, the Peugeot 607 never earned the respect that cars like the Mercedes S680 or Rolls-Royce Phantom commanded. Instead, it went down in history as a cautionary tale, proof that sometimes trying too hard to be unique can backfire spectacularly. But while Chirac's Peugeot left him standing awkwardly in the rain, another European leader chose a car that was all about resilience, precision, and survival. And that was none other than Angela Merkel's Audi A8L Security, a vehicle built to withstand almost anything. Where Jacques Chirac's Peugeot became a comedy routine on wheels, Angela Merkel's choice of state car was the complete opposite: serious, understated, and relentlessly practical. Merkel, known for her no-nonsense leadership style, was never the type to flaunt extravagance. And her car, the Audi A8L Security, valued at around $1.5 million, reflected that perfectly. At first glance, the A8L Security doesn't scream fortress. It looks like a slightly stretched version of Audi's standard flagship sedan. Sleek, professional, but nothing that makes pedestrians whip out their phones. And that's exactly the point. Merkel's car was designed to blend in, to appear as ordinary as possible, while secretly being one of the most fortified vehicles on the planet. Underneath its polished exterior is VR9 level armoring, a grade of protection capable of withstanding armor-piercing rounds and substantial explosive blasts. The doors are reinforced with composite armor so strong they feel like bank vaults when they shut. The windows are slabs of bulletproof glass, thick enough to stop high-powered sniper fire, but clear enough that no one inside would notice the difference. Even the fuel tank was designed with a self-sealing system, ensuring that if it were ever punctured by gunfire or shrapnel, it wouldn't ignite. One of its most impressive safety features was a hidden emergency oxygen system. If the vehicle was ever attacked with gas or chemicals, a secure supply of clean air could be pumped directly into the cabin, keeping Merkel and her team breathing normally while the outside world filled with danger. And in case fire ever engulfed the vehicle, an automatic suppression system could instantly flood the car with extinguishing chemicals, dousing flames before they became a threat. But perhaps the most unique addition was a secret escape mechanism. Hidden within the car's structure was a system designed to literally blast the doors open in an emergency. If the vehicle was surrounded and standard exits were blocked, Merkel could trigger the mechanism and eject the armored doors outward with explosive force, creating a path to escape. The interior was deliberately simple, reflecting Merkel's own personality. No Swarovski stars, no miniature golf courses, no diamond armor. Just a clean, comfortable cabin with discreet luxury, understated German craftsmanship paired with extreme practicality. For Merkel, it wasn't about flaunting wealth or style. It was about having a car that could protect her from the worst-case scenario without drawing unnecessary attention. The Audi A8L Security embodied the German Chancellor's brand of leadership: reliable, efficient, and quietly powerful. But not every world leader shared her modest taste. In fact, some took things to the extreme, combining fortress-level security with outlandish displays of wealth. And perhaps no one did that better than North Korea's Kim Jong-un, whose Maybach 62 Guard redefined what it means to mix paranoia with pure excess. When you think of North Korea, the image that comes to mind is usually one of secrecy, control, and intimidation. But Kim Jong-un's choice of presidential vehicle, the Maybach 62 Guard, tells an even stranger story. Priced at around $20 million, this armored limousine is not just one of the most secure cars in the world, but also one of the most ostentatious. The exterior of the Maybach 62 Guard looks imposing, draped in layers of VR 10-level armor, the highest standard available. This means it can shrug off armor-piercing bullets, massive explosive charges, and high-powered rifles. But what sets it apart isn't just its strength, it's the decadence layered on top of that strength. The car is literally coated with 24-karat gold accents, a touch that screams more about vanity than safety. Inside, the story becomes even more bizarre. The Maybach features a cryogenic refrigerator, stocked exclusively with kimchi, ensuring the North Korean leader never has to go without his national dish, no matter where he travels. The onboard screens play nothing but state-approved propaganda, turning the car into a mobile extension of the regime's messaging machine. And in perhaps the strangest feature of all, the Maybach is fitted with a facial recognition system at its entry points. But instead of being used for security clearance, insiders claim the system would actually deny access to anyone who wasn't smiling. A surreal detail that fits the bizarre mythology surrounding the regime. The car isn't just about intimidation, it's about deception too. For added protection, decoy replicas of the Maybach were built. During public parades or high-risk travel, Kim's convoy would include several identical Maybachs, making it nearly impossible for would-be attackers to know which one carried the leader. In 2018, South Korea even staged a simulated missile strike against one of these convoys, testing whether they could penetrate his defenses. The result? Kim accused the US of attempting an assassination, despite it being only a drill. For Kim, the Maybach 62 Guard is more than a car. It's a throne on wheels, a traveling palace that projects an image of invincibility while indulging in the kind of extravagance that defines his leadership style. Gold-plated surfaces, bizarre restrictions, and state propaganda all hidden behind walls of nearly impenetrable armor. It's the complete opposite of Angela Merkel's understated Audi, where she valued modesty and precision. Kim's Maybach shouts excess and paranoia. But while his car may be a rolling palace, the next vehicle on our list turned out to be a rolling disaster, an American project so ambitious that it ended in embarrassment and tragedy. When it comes to protecting the President of the United States, expectations are sky high. After all, the office comes with the heaviest security in the world, and every vehicle that carries the commander-in-chief is supposed to be a moving fortress. But not every American attempt has been a success. In fact, one of the most ambitious projects in U.S. presidential car history, known as the Cadillac I Lincoln XSS, became infamous not for its power, but for its catastrophic failures. This machine was a $120 million project, designed to be the ultimate armored limousine. On paper, it sounded like something out of a James Bond movie. It came fitted with ejector seats, powered by rocket technology, adapted from F-16 fighter jets, meant to blast the president to safety if the car was compromised. It had an onboard smoke defense system, engineered to deploy a thick black cloud that would disorient attackers and cover the vehicle's escape. The floor itself was electrified, designed to shock and disable anyone who tried to plant explosives underneath the car. And if all that wasn't enough, it even carried surveillance drones, intended to provide a 360-degree security bubble around the vehicle. It all sounded futuristic and unstoppable, but in reality, it was a disaster. During early tests, the smoke defense system accidentally clogged the cooling intake, causing the engine to overheat until it literally melted critical components. The surveillance drones were rendered useless in the extreme heat produced by the car's own defensive systems. The electrified undercarriage, instead of scaring off saboteurs, ended up being so dangerous that in 2005, a test driver was accidentally killed during a routine trial. The final blow came during a controlled explosive test, where the armored chassis, the part meant to keep the president safe above all else, cracked in half. Engineers realized that despite all the money poured into the project, the Lincoln XSS was simply too complex, too dangerous, and too unreliable to ever be used in real life. What was supposed to be a symbol of American innovation ended up being a case study in over-engineering gone wrong. For a nation that prides itself on technological dominance, the XSS was a sobering reminder that sometimes simpler is safer. And while the U.S. had to rethink its approach, another country halfway across the world was busy perfecting its own idea of a presidential limousine, one rooted not in gadgets and weapons, but in tradition and cultural symbolism. In Japan, the role of the emperor has always been tied to ceremony, tradition, and deep cultural symbolism. So when it came time to build a state car for the Japanese imperial family, Toyota didn't just make another armored limousine. They created the Toyota Century Royal, a car worth around $6 million, designed to reflect centuries of heritage while still providing state-of-the-art protection. The Century Royal is based on Toyota's flagship luxury sedan, the Century, but it was custom-built to imperial specifications, and the results are extraordinary. From the outside, it looks dignified and understated, with clean lines and a classic design that avoids flashiness. But step inside, and you enter a world that feels more like a traditional palace than a modern vehicle. The back seats are upholstered in handcrafted wool instead of leather, a deliberate nod to Japanese refinement and comfort. The interior panels are trimmed with wood sourced from sustainable forests, polished to perfection. Most striking of all, the car includes folding tatami mats, allowing the emperor to conduct traditional tea ceremonies while on the move. Few other cars in history have ever attempted to merge cultural ritual with high-security transportation, and the Century Royal does it seamlessly. The windows are lined with silk curtains that not only provide privacy, but also filter light in a way that creates a calm, serene atmosphere. Even the glass itself is unusually thick, measuring nearly 5 inches, offering ballistic resistance without compromising clarity. And of course, the car includes advanced air filtration systems to ensure the Emperor remains safe from chemical or biological threats. But for all its elegance, the Century Royal hasn't been without controversy. In 2014, during a visit to Hiroshima, the car's filtration system accidentally blocked the scent of memorial flowers, leaving mourners offended that the emperor seemed detached from the symbolism of the occasion. In Japan, where gestures carry enormous cultural weight, that small misstep sparked significant criticism. Still, the Century Royal remains one of the most unique presidential cars in the world. While others emphasize raw power, speed, or sheer intimidation, Japan's Imperial Limousine emphasizes dignity, cultural heritage, and quiet authority. It shows that in some parts of the world, tradition can be just as powerful a shield as armor plating or gold trim. But while the Century Royal represents elegance and cultural pride, the final car on our list takes things in the complete opposite direction. A Cold War-era machine designed to survive the ultimate nightmare scenario, nuclear war. When most presidential cars are described as fortresses on wheels, it's usually just a figure of speech. But the ZIL 41052, developed during the Soviet era, was something else entirely, a machine designed not just to withstand assassinations or explosions, but to survive nuclear war. Valued at around $14 million, the ZIL remains one of the most extraordinary and terrifying pieces of automotive engineering ever built for a head of state. At its core, the ZIL was built to protect high-ranking Soviet leaders, and eventually, Vladimir Putin himself, during the height of Cold War paranoia. Unlike modern luxury limousines that balance safety with elegance, the ZIL prioritized absolute survival. The body was layered with multiple defensive materials, hardened steel, advanced ceramics, depleted uranium, and even liquid-filled panels designed to absorb and disperse the impact of extreme blasts. In plain terms, it was designed to resist mines, anti-tank weapons, and direct rocket fire. The floor of the car was electrified, capable of shocking and disabling anyone who attempted to tamper with or place explosives underneath. The fuel tanks were heavily reinforced, allowing the car to travel even in the midst of open combat conditions. And if all that wasn't enough, the ZIL came equipped with one of the most advanced air systems ever fitted to a vehicle. A sealed oxygen supply allowed its occupants to breathe safely for up to 72 hours, even in the event of a chemical or nuclear attack. Paired with radiation filters lined with potassium iodide, the system essentially transformed the limousine into a rolling bunker. For all its engineering brilliance, the ZIL was not without flaws. The complexity of its systems made it prone to mechanical breakdowns, and the costs of maintenance were so extreme that only 3 units were ever built. Still, those 3 cars became enduring symbols of Cold War paranoia. Massive, indestructible, and over-engineered for a world where annihilation felt imminent. To this day, the ZIL 41052 stands as a testament to just how far governments will go to protect their leaders. It wasn't about luxury, or comfort, or even image. It was about preparing for the absolute worst-case scenario. And in doing so, it cemented itself as one of the most fearsome state cars ever created. From Swarovski crystal roofs and hidden whiskey minibars, to diamond-infused armor and refrigerators filled with kimchi, the cars on this list prove that when it comes to heads of state, transportation is never just transportation. Each one tells a story about the leader, about their country, and about the way they want to be seen. For some, like Merkel's Audi, it's about practical safety and quiet efficiency. For others, like Kim Jong-un's Maybach or Sheikh Mohammed's Bugatti, it's about luxury, power, and showmanship. And in the case of machines like the ZIL 41052, it's about preparing for the unthinkable survival at any cost. Together, these vehicles remind us of the strange intersection between politics, paranoia, and prestige. They're rolling palaces, armored bunkers, and status symbols all at once. But at the end of the day, one question remains. Which of these cars would you trust with your life? Would you choose the elegance of a Rolls-Royce, the speed of a Bugatti, or the indestructibility of a Cold War relic? Let me know in the comments which one impressed you the most. And if you think these presidential rides were wild, wait until you see the next list. the world's most luxurious SUVs. Trust me, you won't believe what some leaders are driving. Click here to watch that now.